We were all bullied once or twice in our lives, but you will be amazed to know that even a royal was bullied too. Moreover, her family members didn't pay any heed to the problems. Reason, they caused it. But it was not loud. They didn't scream. They didn't protest. They just turned their backs on her. And for a princess, that was worse than words. This is the story of Princess Maria Laura and the quiet bullying she endured for marrying a man without royal blood. Yes, you heard it right. She was bullied for marrying her love. Let's find out how hard it was and what she is doing now. However, before discussing what made people bully her, it is important to know Princess Maria Laura's background. Princess Maria Laura was born on the 26th of August, 1988, at the St. Luc University Hospital in Brussels. She is the second child and eldest daughter of Princess Astrid of Belgium and Prince Lorenz, Archduke of Austria-Est. Upon her birth, she received the titles Princess of Belgium from her mother and Archduchess of Austria-Este from her father. Maria Laura spent her early childhood in Basel, Switzerland, where her father worked at an international bank. In 1993, the family relocated to Villa Schonenberg in Belgium. She attended College Saint-Jean-Berchmans in Brussels for primary education and completed her secondary schooling at St. John's International School in Waterloo, Belgium. After high school, she pursued higher education internationally. She studied Chinese at the Institut National des Langues et Civilisations Orientales in Paris. She then attended the School of Oriental and African Studies, SOAS, in London to study Sinology and International Relations. Finally, she completed a master's degree in political science at SOAS. She also spent time in China as part of her studies and undertook internships at organizations such as the United Nations in New York. In her professional career, Maria Laura has held various roles in prestigious institutions. She worked in marketing for Louis Vuitton in Shanghai and also served as a financial analyst at the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, EBRD. She currently works as a climate analyst with the NGO Children's Investment Fund Foundation, CIFF, in London. Despite her glorious education and career, Maria Laura has always led a relatively private life compared to other royals. She rarely appears at official engagements, but occasionally accompanies her family on significant occasions. Hence, everyone assumed that she would marry a royal, as decided by her parents. But she didn't. Princess Maria's life changed completely when she met a person named William Isvey. She first met William in London in 2015. William Isvey, who works as an investment banker, was raised in London and shares similar professional interests with Maria Laura, who is a climate analyst at the NGO Children's Investment Fund Foundation, CIFF. Their friendship grew, and that turned into a romantic relationship. Their connection grew over time, leading to their engagement in 2021. Now it may sound like a fairy tale where a girl meets a boy, they become friends, and that turns into a relationship which leads to a marriage. But for her case, things were far from being perfect. She had to hide their relationship from the media and public for 6 long years. The main reason behind this decision was William. He had no title, no royal connection, no public spotlight. He was just a private, educated man, completely outside the royal script. Maria Laura knew that both the royal family and the public would not accept him. He wasn't a scandal. He was just an ordinary man. And that's what made him unacceptable among other royal family members. Naturally, this made their relationship stay quiet for years, but even behind closed doors, royal watchers were waiting to disapprove. So, when their engagement went public, the royal response wasn't celebratory. It was something colder, something worse than criticism. It was a stone-cold silence. Then came the dreaded part, the bullying. The bullying was not direct like teenagers do online. They were very sophisticated. Initially, no public attacks, just quiet rejection. There was minimal press coverage, no royal fanfare. Royal insiders were offering no comment, as if it were not an important thing. There were online trolls questioning whether he's worthy, whether she lowered the royal standard. The traditional Belgian press questioned her judgment and his background. She wasn't shouted at. She was just ignored, and that cut deeper. However, she maintained her composure, keeping her dignity. Despite all the negativity, their engagement was publicly announced by the Belgian royal palace at the end of 2021. and they openly shared their plans for a wedding in Brussels in September 2022. William Isvey proposed with a diamond and sapphire engagement ring, symbolizing their commitment. The ring was prominently featured in official photos released by the royal court. Thankfully, the engagement was well received by both the media and the public, with no reported controversies or negative reactions. The announcement highlighted their multicultural backgrounds and shared interests, such as traveling and tennis. But things became problematic once again during their wedding. As Princess Maria Laura is ninth in line to the Belgian throne, she required formal permission to marry from her uncle, King Philippe of Belgium. However, it was not easy for her to get the permission, as William was a commoner. After a period of tug-of-war, the permission was granted in January 2022, ensuring that she retained her place in the line of succession. Although initially raised questions about the couple's different religious backgrounds, the media highlighted the incorporation of both Catholic and Jewish traditions in the ceremony, reflecting the couple's diverse backgrounds. The wedding took place on Saturday, September 10, 2022. The civil ceremony was held at Brussels City Hall on the Grootmarkt, followed by a religious ceremony at the Cathedral of St. Michael and St. Gudula in Brussels. Even though it was a royal wedding, it was a subdued one. There was no televised coverage. The wedding witnessed a small royal attendance with no national celebration. There was no formal welcoming of William into the royal fold either. For example, the civil ceremony was a private affair, attended only by close family members. Maria Laura's sisters, Princesses Louisa and Letitia, served as witnesses, while William's brother and sister also participated. Maria Laura wore a Gucci dress for the civil ceremony. The religious ceremony was a Catholic service conducted by Cardinal Joseph de Kiesel, incorporating both Christian and Jewish songs to honor William's Jewish heritage. For the religious ceremony, Maria Laura wore a Vivienne Westwood silk dress with a 4-meter-long train. The design was inspired by 18th century fashion and ancient Greek statues. She also wore a tiara from the House of Savoy, Aosta. A private reception was hosted by the bride and groom's parents after the wedding. That's it. That was the entire event. Neither a scandal nor a celebration. It was a whisper, as if the crown wanted it to happen without being seen. But if they thought silence would shame her, they underestimated her completely. Not a single interview or royal documentary highlighted their marriage. Yes, it did hurt her, but she remained mum. She didn't defend William or explain her decision. She didn't try to win approval. She never played the game. They waited for her to react. She never did. And that silence became her power. Just like Princess Mako or Meghan Markle, but without cameras. Just distance and dignity. Her silence was her statement, but bullying didn't stop. So, to avoid what she faced during her engagement, her pregnancy was not publicly disclosed until after the birth of her son, Albert. The Belgian royal palace announced the birth on January 29, 2025, revealing that the baby was born in Brussels on January 26, 2025. This surprise announcement meant there was no prior media coverage or speculation about the pregnancy. This shows how traumatized she was after what she faced during her engagement. 3 years have gone by, but no major public mentions of her marriage. She rarely gets invited to key royal events. Her husband, William, is still a civilian with no active royal role. She holds a title but is barely acknowledged. She wasn't exiled, but she was erased. And maybe that was worse. Hence, we can say that the bullying continues for her just for marrying the love of her life. This is the story of Princess Maria Laura of Belgium, today's tragic heroine. And with this, we end this video. See you in the next video.